Galaxy Council demands Earth surrender. Humanity fires missiles instead. Part 1. The Ultimatum. The morning was quiet and normal. People went to work. Children went to school. The sun rose over the Pacific Ocean like it did every day. Nobody knew that everything was about to change. At exactly 9:47 a.m., the sky above Earth turned dark. Thousands of ships appeared from nowhere. They were huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. They blocked the sunlight over entire countries. People stopped walking. Cars stopped moving. Everyone looked up at the sky with fear in their eyes. The ships were not from Earth. Admiral Park was drinking his morning coffee in Seoul when his phone rang. He was 62 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes. He had served in the military for 40 years. He thought he had seen everything. He was wrong. "Sir, you need to see this," said the voice on the phone. "Something is happening." Turned on his television. Every channel showed the same thing. A face appeared on every screen in the world. It was not a human face. The creature had blue skin, 4 eyes, and no nose. Its mouth moved and words came out in perfect Korean, English, Chinese, and every other language at the same time. "People of Earth," the creature said, "I am ambassador of the Dominion. I speak for the Galaxy Council. Your planet has been selected for integration into our empire." Put down his coffee. His hand was steady, but his heart was beating fast. "You will surrender your world, your weapons, and your people to us," continued. "You have 24 hours to agree. If you do not agree, we will take your planet by force. Resistance is not logical. We have conquered 200 worlds. None have refused us. You will not be the first." The screen went black. His phone rang again. This time it was the president. Within 3 hours, every world leader was in Seoul. They met in a secret underground building that most people did not know existed. The room was large and cold. Giant screens showed the alien fleet floating above Earth. 3,000 ships, maybe more. "How many ships do we have?" asked the American president. 47, said a general. 47 combat ships. The room went silent. Stood near the back, watching everyone. He saw fear on their faces. He understood it. The enemy was too strong. The math was simple. Earth could not win. A door opened and a woman walked in. She was young, maybe 35, with short black hair and glasses. Her name was, and she was the person had ever met. "I need to show you something," said. She did not wait for permission. She walked to the main screen and connected her laptop. Images appeared. Documents, videos, data from deep space sensors. 20 years ago, we detected signals from space, explained. We knew we were not alone, so we started Project Aegis, a secret program. We built weapons, special weapons. "What kind of weapons?" asked the Russian president. "Nuclear missiles with quantum drives," said. "They can move faster than anything the aliens have seen. We also built stealth ships, hidden bases, underground bunkers that can survive plasma fire." "You knew this would happen?" someone asked. "We knew something would happen," said. "We prepared for the worst." Stepped forward. "How many missiles do we have?" 216, answered. "Plus 47 ships, 3 orbital stations, and ground forces in every country." The British Prime Minister shook his head. "It's not enough. They have 3,000 ships. We have 47. Even with your secret weapons, we cannot win." "Maybe not," said. His voice was calm. "But we can make them bleed." "What's the point?" the Prime Minister asked. "If we fight, we die. If we surrender, we live. The choice is obvious." Walked to the center of the room. He looked at every face. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, all of them were scared. "Let me tell you what surrender means," said. "I studied the signals we intercepted. I know what happens to planets that surrender. Their people become slaves. Their resources get taken. Their culture gets erased. In 100 years, no one remembers they existed." "But at least they're alive," someone said. "Are they?" asked. Is that life, working in mines until you die, watching your children serve alien masters, forgetting who you were? No one answered. I'm not saying we can win, continued. I'm saying we have a choice. We can go quietly or we can fight. We can show these aliens that Earth is not like other planets, that humans are not like other species. Maybe we die, but we die standing up. The room was silent for a long time. Finally, the president of Korea spoke. What do you suggest, Admiral? Looked at, she nodded. We hit them first, said. Before the deadline, they expect us to surrender. They expect us to beg. Instead, we send them a message. We send them our missiles. That will start a war, the French president said. The war already started, replied. They just haven't told us yet. More silence. Then one by one the leaders began to nod. Not all of them. Some still wanted to surrender, but most of them agreed. Humanity would not go quietly. Turn 2, how soon can we launch? 6 hours, she said. I'll have the first wave ready. Looked at the screen. The alien ships floated there waiting. They thought Earth was weak. They thought humans would kneel. They were wrong. In military bases around the world, soldiers prepared for battle. Pilots ran to their ships. Technicians loaded weapons. Everyone knew the odds. Everyone knew they might die, but no one ran away. At 3:00 p.m., just 6 hours after the alien message, Admiral Park stood in the command center beneath Seoul. Screens surrounded him. Every ship, every missile, every soldier, all waiting for his order. This is Admiral Park, he said into the microphone. His voice went to every military base on Earth. In a few minutes, we will do something no planet has ever done. We will refuse the Galaxy Council. We will fight. He paused. Some of you are scared, that's okay. I'm scared too, but I'm also proud of every single one of you. Whatever happens today, remember this, we did not surrender, we stood up, and that means something. He looked at, she pressed a button. Launch, said. 16 missiles left Earth. They flew faster than anything the aliens had ever seen. They crossed the distance to the enemy fleet in seconds. And then they hit. 3 alien ships exploded in bright orange fire. The explosions were so big that people on Earth could see them in the sky. Picked up the communication device. He set it to the alien frequency. Ambassador, he said, this is Admiral Park of Earth. We received your message. Here is our answer. We don't surrender. Welcome to our planet. I hope you brought enough ships. In the alien command ship, Ambassador stared at the burning wreckage of his escort fleet. His 4 eyes were wide. His mouth hung open. In 4,000 years, no planet had ever fired first. Until now. Galaxy Council demands Earth surrender. Humanity fires missiles instead. Part 2, the answer. Ambassador could not move. He stood on the bridge of his command ship and watched 3 of his cruisers burn. The fire was bright against the darkness of space. Pieces of metal floated everywhere. Thousands of his soldiers were dead. This was not possible. In 4,000 years, the Galaxy Council had conquered 200 worlds. Every species surrendered, every single one. They saw the Council fleet, they understood the math, and they gave up. It was logical. It was expected. It was the way things worked. But Earth had not surrendered. Earth had fired missiles. Ambassador, said his tactical officer, a young named, what are your orders? Blinked his 4 eyes. His mind was still trying to understand what happened. Primitive species did not fight back. They could not fight back. Their weapons were too weak. Their ships were too slow. Yet 3 cruisers were burning. How asked, how did they hit us? Looked at his screens. The missiles used some kind of faster-than-light technology. We've never seen it before. They moved too fast for our shields to react. That's impossible, said. These humans have only had space travel for 70 years. They cannot have better technology than us. The evidence says otherwise, replied quietly. His hands shook. He was scared. He had never been scared before. The Galaxy Council was the strongest force in the universe. Everyone knew that. Everyone accepted it. Everyone except Earth. Far below, on the planet's surface, people were celebrating. They had seen the explosions in the sky. They knew what it meant. Earth had fought back. Lieutenant watched from the bridge of the UDS Indomitable, one of humanity's 47 warships. He was 28 years old, with a thin face and serious eyes. He had trained for this moment his entire adult life. "Direct hits on 3 enemy cruisers," said his sensor officer. "They're destroyed." Nodded, he did not smile. 3 ships meant nothing. The enemy had 3,000 more. This was just the beginning. "What's the enemy doing?" asked. "Nothing yet, they seem confused." "Good thought, let them be confused." Admiral Park's voice came through the speakers. "All ships, this is the Admiral. We got their attention. Now we need to survive what comes next. Move to defense position Alpha. Protect the orbital stations for as long as possible." Relayed the orders to his crew. The Indomitable turned and moved toward Earth's orbital defense platforms. 46 other ships did the same. It was not much, but it was what they had. In the alien command ship, Ambassador finally made a decision. "All ships," he said, "attack formation, destroy their fleet, then destroy their cities, leave nothing standing." Hesitated. "Ambassador, standard procedure says we should offer them another chance to surrender. They might have made a mistake." "They fired first," said. His voice was cold now. His fear had turned to anger. "They killed our soldiers. They will pay for that, all of them." The Council fleet moved forward. 3,000 ships advanced toward Earth like a wave of death. Their weapons charged. Their shields activated. They were ready to destroy a world. On Earth, people looked up at the sky. The celebration stopped. Everyone could see the alien fleet moving closer. Everyone knew what was coming. But nobody ran. In Seoul, Admiral watched the enemy approach. Doctor stood beside him, her eyes fixed on the screens. "Estimated time until they reach weapon range?" asked. 40 minutes, answered. Nodded, launch the second wave, all remaining orbital missiles. Press the command. 200 missiles left their hidden platforms around the world. They flew toward the alien fleet, moving at impossible speeds. But the aliens were ready this time. "They've adjusted their shields," said. "Frequency modulation. Our missiles are hitting, but they're not doing as much damage." Watched as explosions lit up the alien fleet. Ships were damaged, but few were destroyed. The enemy kept coming. "How many did we get?" he asked. 23 destroyed, 41 damaged. Out of 3,000, it was not enough. The first alien weapons hit Earth's orbital stations. The structures exploded in seconds. Thousands of soldiers died. Fire rained down from space. Lieutenant watched the station called Horizon fall apart. He had friends there, people he trained with. Now they were gone. "Sir, we have enemy ships closing on our position," said his sensor officer. 20 cruisers. They're targeting us." His hands moved across his controls. "All weapons, prepare to fire. If we're going down, we're taking some of them with us." The Indomitable opened fire. Plasma bolts and missiles flew toward the enemy. 2 alien ships exploded, but the others kept coming. An enemy weapon hit the Indomitable's shields. The whole ship shook. Alarms screamed. "Shields at 60%, someone shouted. Another hit, then another. "Shields at 20%. Looked at his crew. They were scared, but they were still fighting. Nobody was running. Nobody was giving up. "It's been an honor serving with you," said. Then something unexpected happened. A group of small ships appeared from behind the moon. They were human ships, but they were different, darker, harder to see on sensors. The stealth frigates of Project Aegis. Captain Lee Minyu led the squadron. His ship, the UDS Shadow, was small but deadly. It carried experimental weapons that could punch through any shield. All frigates target the cruisers attacking the Indomitable, Minyu ordered. Fire at will. 20 stealth ships opened fire at the same moment. The enemy cruisers had no warning. Their shields were facing the wrong direction. The weapons hit them from behind. 12 enemy cruisers exploded in seconds. On the Indomitable stared at his screens. Where did they come from? Minyu's voice came through the radio. You look like you needed help, Lieutenant. Try to stay alive. We need every ship we can get. The stealth frigates disappeared again, moving to attack another part of the enemy fleet. Ambassador watched more of his ships die. His anger grew. What are those ships? He demanded. Where did they come from? We can't track them, said. They appear, attack, and vanish. Our sensors can't find them. This was wrong. Everything was wrong. This was supposed to be easy. Primitive species did not have invisible ships. They did not have missiles that moved faster than light. They did not fight back. But humans did. On the ground, the first alien landing ships touched down in major cities. Soldiers poured out, expecting to find scared civilians ready to surrender. Instead, they found Colonel and the Earth Defense Forces. Was 50 years old, built like a tank, with a scar across his face from a training accident. He had been preparing for this day for 20 years. Let them come, he told his soldiers. They think we're weak, show them how wrong they are. The aliens advanced into Seoul. They moved with confidence. Their armor was strong. Their weapons were powerful. But they did not know the city, and did. Buildings exploded as hidden bombs went off. Alien soldiers fell into traps. Human fighters appeared from underground tunnels, fired their weapons, and disappeared again. The aliens had better technology, but humans had something else. They had anger. They had determination. They had the will to fight even when winning was impossible. By the end of the first day, Earth had lost 30 ships and 2 orbital stations. Millions of people were dead. Cities were burning. But the enemy had lost over 200 ships. Their ground forces in Seoul were stuck, unable to advance. Their perfect record of easy conquests was broken. Admiral looked at the casualty reports. The numbers were terrible, but Earth was still fighting. Send a message to all forces, he said. Tell them we survived day 1. Tomorrow we fight again. In space, Lieutenant looked at Earth through his window. Half the planet was on fire, but the other half was still there, still standing. They had not won, not even close, but they had not lost either. And that was something the Galaxy Council had never faced before. Galaxy Council demands Earth surrender. Humanity fires missiles instead. Part 3: The Swarm. 3 weeks had passed since the first missiles flew. Earth was dying. The alien fleet had destroyed every major city. New York was gone. Tokyo was gone. Paris, London, Cairo, Sydney, all reduced to ash and rubble. Billions of people had died. The sky was gray with smoke. The oceans were dark with debris. But Earth was still fighting. Captain Lee Minyu sat in the command chair of the UDS Shadow, hidden among the asteroids between Mars and Jupiter. His stealth frigate was damaged, running low on power and ammunition. His crew of 32 had not slept properly in days. But they were still alive, and as long as they were alive, they could hurt the enemy. Status report, Minyu said. His weapons officer, Lieutenant, looked up from her console. She was 30 years old, with tired eyes and oil stains on her uniform. Before the war, she had been an engineer. Now she was a soldier. We have 16 missiles left, said. Power cells at 34%. Life support is holding, but food supplies will run out in 5 days. Minyu nodded. It was not good news, but it was not the worst either. They had survived longer than anyone expected. What about the other frigates? He asked. 7 still operational. The rest were destroyed or too damaged to fight. 7 ships out of 20. That was their fleet now. 7 small ships against thousands. Minyu pulled up the tactical display. The alien supply line was visible, a constant stream of cargo ships moving between the fleet above Earth and a staging area near the Moon. Those ships carried food, weapons, and replacement parts for the enemy. "We hit them again tonight," Minyu said. "Same plan as before. Fast strike, maximum damage, then we disappear." Looked at him. "Sir, if we keep attacking their supply line, they'll eventually find us. They're getting better at tracking our ships." "I know," Minyu said, "but every supply ship we destroy is one less shipment for their ground forces. Colonel and the Resistance need every advantage we can give them." Did not argue. She knew he was right. This was not about winning anymore. This was about making the enemy pay for every inch of Earth they took. On the surface, Colonel led his fighters through the ruins of Seoul. The city was unrecognizable. Buildings that had stood for centuries were now piles of broken concrete and twisted metal. The streets were filled with debris and bodies. But the underground tunnels were still intact, and the resistance was still fighting. Had started with 5,000 soldiers. Now he had 300. Every day more people died. Every day the enemy pushed further into the city. But every day the aliens died too. "Colonel," said Sergeant Han, his second in command. She was young, only 25, but she had killed more aliens than anyone in the resistance. "Our scouts report an enemy patrol moving through Sector 7. 40 soldiers, 2 hover tanks." Looked at his map. Sector 7 was near one of their hidden bunkers. If the aliens found it, 200 civilians would die. "We hit them," said. "Take Team 3, use the subway tunnels, attack from below." Nodded and disappeared into the darkness. Watched her go. She reminded him of his daughter. His daughter had died in the first attack, along with his wife and son. He had nothing left except the war. And he would fight until his last breath. An hour later, and her team waited in the darkness beneath the street. Above them, they could hear the heavy footsteps of alien soldiers and the hum of hover tank engines. "Remember," whispered to her team of 15 fighters, "hit the tanks first. Without tank support, their infantry is vulnerable." Her soldiers nodded. They were all young. Most of them had been students or office workers before the invasion. Now they were killers. "Press the button." The street above them exploded. The lead hover tank fell into the crater, its engines screaming as it crashed into the tunnel. Before the alien soldiers could react, his team opened fire. The fight was fast and brutal. Alien soldiers fell, human fighters died, blood and fire filled the tunnel. When it was over, counted her survivors, 8 out of 15. Half her team was gone. But the enemy patrol was destroyed. She sent the report to, then led her remaining fighters back to the bunker. Tomorrow they would do it again. In space, Ambassador received another casualty report. His 4 eyes scanned the numbers with growing frustration. 212 ships destroyed since the invasion began, his tactical officer reported. Ground forces have suffered 60,000 casualties. Supply shipments are down 40% due to attacks on our cargo vessels. Slammed his fist on the console. "This is impossible. These are primitives. They should have surrendered weeks ago." Stepped forward carefully. "Ambassador, perhaps we should request reinforcements from the Council." "No," shouted. "I will not go to the Council and admit that one primitive planet is causing us difficulties. I will not be humiliated." "But sir—" "I said no." His voice echoed through the bridge. "We will crush these humans. We will destroy every city, every village, every farm until nothing is left. And then we will find whoever is commanding their forces and make an example of them." Bowed his head. "As you command, Ambassador." Turned back to the view of Earth. The planet was burning. Most of its surface was under alien control. By any logical measure, the war was almost over. But the humans kept fighting. Did not understand it. In all his years of conquest, he had never seen anything like this. Species surrendered when defeat was certain. It was the only logical choice, but humans seemed to reject logic entirely. They fought when they could not win. They attacked when they should have hidden. They died rather than surrender. It was madness, and somehow that madness was costing him ships and soldiers. Deep in a bunker beneath the ruins of Doctor worked by candlelight. The power grid had been destroyed weeks ago. Her team of scientists used whatever they could find: batteries, generators, even hand-cranked devices. They were working on something important, something that might change everything. "Is it ready?" asked Admiral. He visited the bunker every few days, moving through secret tunnels to avoid alien patrols. Looked up from her work. She had lost weight since the invasion. Everyone had, but her eyes were still bright with determination. "Almost," she said. "We cracked their communication network. We can see everything: their orders, their supply routes, their fleet positions." "That's good," said. "We can use that information to plan better attacks." "It's more than that." Pulled up data on her cracked screen. "I found something, the truth about the Galaxy Council." Leaned forward. "What truth?" "They're not as powerful as they seem," said. "The Council controls 200 worlds, but their actual military is small. They maintain control through fear. Conquered species believe resistance is impossible, so they never try." "Thought about this. So if they saw someone resist, it might inspire them," finished. "Most conquered worlds have populations in the billions. The Council has only a few million soldiers total. If those worlds rose up at the same time, the Council would collapse," said. "Exactly." Sat back. For the first time in weeks he felt something like hope. Not hope for Earth. Earth was probably doomed, but hope that their sacrifice might mean something. "Can we send a message to those worlds?" he asked. "We can do better than that," said. "We can broadcast directly into the Council's communication network. Every screen on every conquered world will show whatever we send." "What should we send?" Smiled, a tired, sad smile, but still a smile. "Evidence. Proof that resistance is possible. Videos of our ships destroying theirs. Footage of our soldiers fighting back. Show them that the Council can be hurt." Nodded slowly. "Make it happen." Above them the war continued. Ships exploded. Soldiers died. Cities burned. But in that small bunker something new was being born. A weapon more powerful than any missile. Hope. Galaxy Council demands Earth surrender. Humanity fires missiles instead. Part 4. The broadcast. Lieutenant Shin had been a communications specialist before the war. She worked for a television station making sure signals reached millions of homes. She never thought those skills would be used to start a galactic revolution. Now she sat in a dark bunker, surrounded by broken equipment and desperate hope, preparing to send a message that would reach 1,000 worlds. "Are we ready?" asked doctors standing behind her. Checked her systems one more time. The equipment was old and damaged. Power was limited. They would only get one chance at this. "As ready as we'll ever be," said. The plan was simple but dangerous. They would hijack the Galaxy Council's communication network and broadcast directly to every conquered world. The message would show footage of Earth's resistance, ships exploding, soldiers fighting, humans refusing to surrender. But more importantly, it would show the truth. The Council was not unbeatable. Admiral stood in the corner watching. He had traveled through 20 kilometers of underground tunnels to be here. His uniform was torn and dirty. His face was tired, but his eyes were sharp. "How long will the broadcast last?" he asked. "Maybe 3 minutes before they shut it down," answered. "That's enough time to show the main footage, but not much more." "Then we need to make those 3 minutes count," said. She handed a small device. On it was everything they had gathered: videos of burning Council ships, recordings of successful ambushes, images of human soldiers standing their ground against overwhelming odds, and at the end, a message. A simple message in every language the council used. Resistance is not impossible, rise up. Looked at the device, then at the others. In the room were 15 people, scientists, soldiers, engineers. They were all that remained of Project Aegis. Outside, the world was burning. Earth had maybe days left before the council finished their conquest. But this moment might outlast all of them. Starting the broadcast said. She pressed the button. Across the galaxy, something strange happened. On the mining world of 4, workers were digging in deep underground tunnels. They had been slaves of the council for 300 years. Every day was the same, work until you collapsed, sleep for a few hours, then work again. They had forgotten what freedom felt like. Then the screens on the tunnel walls flickered. Instead of council propaganda, they showed something different. Ships burning, alien soldiers falling, and strange creatures, pale, soft-skinned beings with 2 eyes and 5 fingers, fighting back. The workers stopped digging. They stared at the screens. "What is this?" whispered one of them, an old female named who had worked in the mine since birth. "Humans," said another worker, reading the text on the screen. "They are called humans, from a planet called Earth. They're fighting the council," said, her voice trembled, "and they're winning." The footage showed a council cruiser exploding under missile fire. It showed ground troops retreating from a city they could not hold. It showed humans standing on piles of dead alien soldiers, weapons raised in victory. And then came the message. Resistance is not impossible, rise up. The screens went dark as the council cut the broadcast. Overseers rushed in, shouting orders to get back to work. But something had changed. The workers looked at each other with new eyes. For the first time in 300 years, they wondered what would happen if they stopped working. The same scene repeated across 1,000 worlds. On the agricultural planet, farmers watched the broadcast while standing in endless fields. They had grown food for the council their entire lives, receiving barely enough to survive while their crops fed alien armies. "Rise up," a young farmer named whispered to himself. He looked at the tools in his hands, tools meant for farming but sharp enough to be weapons. On the industrial world of 7, factory workers saw the footage on their assembly line screens. They built weapons for council soldiers. They had the knowledge to use those weapons too. The collective and species with billions of individuals watched through their shared consciousness. They had been conquered 2,000 years ago. In all that time, they had never considered fighting back. The math was too clear. They were slaves, and slaves did not resist. But now they saw that math could be wrong. In the council command ship above Earth, Ambassador watched the same broadcast with horror. "Shut it down," he screamed. "Shut it down now." His communications officer worked frantically. "I'm trying, Ambassador. They're using our own network against us. I can't." The broadcast ended after 3 minutes and 12 seconds, but the damage was done. His hands shook as he read the reports coming in. The broadcast had reached over 1,000 worlds. Billions of enslaved individuals had seen it. The council's carefully maintained illusion of unbeatable power had cracked. "This is a disaster," said. "The council will blame me. They'll say I let this happen." His tactical officer stepped forward carefully. "Ambassador, perhaps we should focus on finding the source of the broadcast. If we capture the humans responsible—" "Yes," said, suddenly focused. "Yes, we need to find them. Find whoever sent this message and bring them to me alive. I want to make an example of them. I want every world to see what happens when you resist the council." But even as he gave the order, knew something had changed. The broadcast was out there. The footage had been seen. The message had been heard. And messages could not be unheard. On Earth sat back from her console, exhausted. The broadcast was done. They had no idea if it worked. They might never know. Did it go through? Asked. It went through, said. Every council world received it before they cut us off. Admiral nodded slowly. Then we've done what we could. The rest is up to them. Do you think they'll rise up? Asked. Was quiet for a moment. He thought about all the battles they had fought, all the people they had lost, all the cities that were gone. Earth was almost finished. Even if other worlds rose up, it would probably be too late to save humanity. But that was not the point. I don't know, said finally. But we gave them something they didn't have before. We gave them an example. We showed them that resistance is possible. Will that be enough? Looked at the tired, dirty faces around him. Scientists who should have been in labs, engineers who should have been building things, young people who should have had their whole lives ahead of them. Hope is never enough on its own, he said, but it's where everything starts. Above them, alien ships continued their bombardment. Ground forces pushed closer to their position. The war was not over, but the end was coming. Yet somehow in that dark bunker, the mood was lighter than it had been in weeks. They had fired a different kind of weapon, not missiles, not bombs. An idea. And ideas, once released, could not be destroyed. Saved a copy of the broadcast to a small chip. She put it in her pocket, close to her heart. Whatever happens, she said, at least they'll know we existed, they'll know we fought. Smiled sadly. That's more than most civilizations get. They sat in silence for a while, listening to the distant sounds of battle, then stood up. We still have work to do, he said. The war isn't over yet. Let's make every remaining hour count. They followed him out of the broadcast room, back into the tunnels, back toward the fight. Above, the stars were hidden by smoke and fire. But somewhere out there, across the vast darkness of space, the message was spreading. And the galaxy would never be the same. Galaxy Council demands Earth surrender. Humanity fires missiles instead. Part 5, The Uprising. The first uprising started on 6 days after the broadcast. The old mining worker who had watched the footage of burning council ships made a decision. She had spent her entire life underground, breaking rocks for masters who saw her as nothing more than a tool. Her parents had died in the mines. Her children had died in the mines. She expected to die in the mines too. But now she had seen something different. She had seen beings from a planet called Earth fighting back. And if they could fight, maybe she could too. It started small. When the overseers came to push the workers harder, did not move. She stood still, her mining tool in her hands, and looked the overseer in the eyes. I said work faster, the overseer growled. No, said. It was such a simple word, just 2 letters, but she had never said it before. None of them had. The overseer raised his weapon, but before he could fire, 100 other workers stepped forward. They surrounded him, their mining tools raised. No, they said together. By the end of the day, every overseer on 4 was dead. The workers controlled the mines. For the first time in 300 years, they were free. News of the uprising spread through the council network. They tried to hide it, but workers had captured the communication equipment. The footage went out to other worlds. 4 was not alone anymore. On the agricultural planet, farmers burned their crops. If the council wanted food, they could grow it themselves. The soldiers sent to stop them disappeared into the endless fields, never to be seen again. On 7, factory workers turned the weapons they built against their masters. Council soldiers arrived to find armed resistance waiting for them. The battle lasted 3 days. When it was over, the workers controlled the planet. The collective did not need weapons. They had numbers, billions of them. When they moved together, nothing could stop them. Council garrisons on their worlds were simply overwhelmed, buried under waves of insects that feared nothing because they had nothing left to lose. Ambassador watched the reports come in, each one worse than the last. 12 worlds in open revolt, reported. 17 more showing signs of unrest. Our supply lines from the outer sectors have been cut. Stared at the screen, unable to speak. This was supposed to be impossible. Conquered species did not fight back. They accepted their place. They served the Council. But Earth had changed everything. Reinforcements? Asked weakly. None available, said. The Council is dealing with uprisings across the Empire. Every ship is needed elsewhere. We're on our own. Looked at Earth through the planet was burning, almost completely conquered. Victory was so close he could taste it. But suddenly, victory did not seem to matter anymore. On Earth, Admiral Park received the news through intercepted Council communications. Doctor translated the messages, her hands shaking with excitement. It's working, she said. The broadcast worked. Worlds are rising up everywhere. Sat in silence, absorbing the information. They were in a bunker beneath the mountains of Dew, one of the last free areas on Earth. Outside, alien forces were closing in. They had maybe days left. But the galaxy was on fire. How many worlds? Asked. At least 20 confirmed uprisings, said. Probably more. The Council is trying to hide the information, but we're getting reports from everywhere. Lieutenant stepped forward. He had survived the space battles somehow, crashing his damaged ship in the ocean and making his way to the Resistance. His arm was in a sling and his face was, but he was alive. If the Council is dealing with uprisings everywhere, they can't send reinforcements here, said. The fleet above us is all they have. Nodded slowly. How many ships do we have left? 12, said Captain Lee Menu. He had also made it to the bunker, along with what remained of his stealth frigate crew. 12 ships, all damaged. Maybe enough fuel for one more fight. Then we give them one more fight, said. The room went quiet. Everyone understood what he was saying. One more battle, everything they had left. No retreat, no surrender. A final stand. I'll lead the space attack, said. We can coordinate with the surface forces. Hit them from above and below at the same time. Colonel, who had traveled through tunnels for 3 days to reach the bunker, stepped forward. My Resistance fighters are ready. We can attack their ground bases while your ships hit the fleet. Make them fight on 2 fronts. Menu looked at his crew, weapons officer, and the handful of others who had survived. My frigates can take out their command ship. If we lose, the rest of their fleet might fall apart. Looked at each of them. These were the survivors, the last defenders of Earth. Soldiers, scientists, engineers, farmers, people who had refused to surrender even when surrender was the only logical choice. You all understand what this means, said. We probably won't survive. Earth probably won't survive. But if we can break their fleet here, it will send a message to every world that's rising up. It will show them that the Council can be beaten. We've already shown them that, said quietly. This will prove it. Nodded, prepare for launch. We attack in 6 hours. As people moved to their stations, Lieutenant Shin stopped beside. She was still carrying the chip with the broadcast, a copy of humanity's message to the galaxy. Sir, she said, what if it doesn't work? What if the uprisings fail? Looked at her. He was old and tired, and he had seen more death in the past weeks than in his entire career, but his voice was steady. Then at least we tried, he said. At least we showed the galaxy that there's another way. Even if every uprising fails, even if the Council crushes every rebellion, that idea will remain. Someday, someone else will try again, and maybe they'll succeed. He paused. That's what resistance means, Lieutenant. Not winning, just refusing to accept that you've already lost. Nodded slowly. She did not feel brave. She felt scared and exhausted and sad, but she also felt something else, something she had not felt since the invasion began. Pride. They were going to die, but they were going to die fighting, and that meant something. 6 hours later, the last human fleet launched from hidden bases around the world. 12 ships, battered, damaged, running on emergency power, rose into the sky and headed toward the alien armada. On the ground, led his fighters out of the tunnels. 3,000 resistance members attacked council positions across the planet, causing chaos and confusion. In the alien command ship, Ambassador watched the attack begin. "They're insane," he said. 12 ships against our fleet. This is suicide." "Perhaps," said, "but look at the ground reports. Their attacks are coordinated. They're targeting our command structures." Felt cold. He had underestimated these humans from the beginning. Even now, with their world in ruins, they refused to give up. "All ships, defensive formation," ordered. "Stop those vessels before they reach us." The battle began. Captain O commanded the UDS Defiance, a destroyer that had been repaired with parts from 3 other ships. His crew was half the normal size, and his weapons were barely functional. But he had one advantage. He did not care if he lived. "All power to engines," ordered. "Ram the command carrier." "Sir, that will destroy us," his pilot said. "I know," said. "Do it anyway." The Defiance accelerated toward the alien command ship. Council vessels moved to intercept, but the human ship was moving too fast. Weapons fire tore through its shields, ripped apart its hull, killed most of its crew. But kept going. "For Earth," he whispered. The Defiance hit the command carrier at full speed. The explosion lit up the sky. Ambassador died instantly. His command ship broke apart, scattering debris across space. The alien fleet, suddenly without leadership, fell into confusion. In the bunker, watched the explosion on his screen. He closed his eyes. He said softly, "Thank you." Then he opened his eyes and looked at the remaining displays. The battle was still going. Ships were still fighting, but something had changed. "Sir," reported from Minu's frigate, "the enemy fleet, they're retreating." Stared at the screen. It was true. Without their command ship, without their ambassador, the alien fleet was pulling back. They were running. For the first time in 4,000 years, the Galaxy Council had lost a battle. And the whole galaxy was watching.